Hey, Sean, guess what? I now have the best news in the entire world.
What's the best news in the world, Richard?
The best news in the whole world is that we have found a new home on the internet.
A new home on the internet? Where's that?
That's right. You can now find the Language of Bromance on the Pod Bros Network.
The Pod Bros Network. We're bringing the bromance to the Pod Bros.
Yeah, see, it's a bro and a bro. It's like bro. It's a bromance with bros,
Podcast bromance.
but not in a weird way.
In a fun way.
In a fun way.
In a bro way?
Yes. Because how can you not love Network with other great shows like Dave's Nerd Compendium, Pencil and Ink Reviews, and The Accidental Wrestling Fan?
And they also have Players versus Podcast and the Guy Huddle. What's not to love?
Right? It's a bro union that couldn't help but need us.
So check us out on all of our avenues, and then check us out now on Pod Bros Podcast Network.
Like we always say, the best thing with geeks is camaraderie, and it's great to come by brothers in arms. Bros on Pod Bros. What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And we are speaking the language of bromance. Hi.
Hello.
Ooh, it's this today is a big red letter day. Red letter day.
What would you compare this to? I mean, it's like Christmas, New Year's, and the first time you made sweet, sweet love with a lady.
Yes, all wrapped into one beautiful, beautiful package with a bow.
There's a lot of nerd news coming out right now.
All right. First off, you know what? I honestly think at this point, I think Marvel should pay us. I think we would be great, like, spokesmen for Marvel at this point, because I think it seems like every episode we always manage to talk them up in one way or another. But what has lately happened has been Marvel has announced their movie lineup for the next, 6 years?
Let's see, to 19, so right about 6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few movies. I don't know if any of them will be any good or not.
They're all going to be good. Because so far they have proved infallible in my eyes. I'm waiting for them to let me down. Like a woman. Aww.
But to point this out, there is a woman that's going to be in this lineup.
This is true. All right. So here's what I think. Here's what I think we should do. I think we'll go with a movie, name a movie,
Okay.
and then we'll just kind of bounce it around a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next one.
All right. I like it.
So I think we've kind of spoken at length about Avengers: Age of Ultron, but they did put out a teaser trailer for it,
Which looked pretty ridiculous.
which looked fucking awesome. Because so you had Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, great, whatever. Hulk Buster armor.
The Hulk looked ridiculous in that.
The
Like
Hulk Buster armor.
That fight is going to be like, you're going to have people, depending on how it builds up, either way, you're going to have people cheering in that audience. Like, that's going to be a nice, release night moment.
Oh, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Hulk goddamn Buster armor looked amazing.
And they teased that, I don't know if it was the same kind of setup, but they teased that in the Iron Man 3, kind of a bigger Hulk Buster looking armor. But
Right.
This was the first time you've really got to see it in like full action.
It looks like, honestly, it almost looks like he's sitting. It looks like his suit kind of meshes in with this big like mech looking thing almost.
That's what I kind of thought. Like he gets into his regular Iron Man outfit, and then it like hops into the Hulk Buster outfit.
Right. Yeah, that's how it looked to me. Which oh my god, it's like Pacific Rim, but awesome.
Better. I didn't realize he essentially has like different outfits for, like, I guess there's like a Thor Buster. There's like, he has an outfit for like each person.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yes. Well, hell, he's up to I'm trying to think. I mean, you saw all the suits he had in Iron Man 3. He had like 80 gajillion fucking suits.
Yeah, I don't remember what Mach he was up to when he was talking in there, but
I think he was up to like 42 or something, some crazy fucking number like that.
Do they keep that running count like in the comics? Is he up to like anything ridiculous, or is that kind of where it's tailed off?
I think he does keep track of them in the comics. I don't know what he's up to,
Okay.
what he got up to in the comics, but. And plus, I mean, they've rebooted, they've retconned the universe and rebooted a couple times. So, I mean, who knows what fucking number he's on.
So not to stick with too much that everybody's seen with the Avengers, but did you see the clip where it's kind of setting up the first big movie that they're talking about, the Captain America Civil War? Did you see the clip of Captain America and Tony Stark talking as they're cutting wood?
No.
Oh, you didn't see this? Okay.
No. Oh, paint me a picture. Paint me a picture.
So this was a clip, I think that was at San Diego Comic-Con. And so you see Tony Stark and Captain America, Steve Rogers, they're cutting wood for something. So it's like they're in a farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere, like almost like they're in hiding or they're in like some kind of planning stage, but they are away from like Avengers Tower.
Okay.
So they're both sitting there cutting wood and they're talking about I wish I could remember the line. It was a great line. But they're essentially talking about like what you would consider the Ultron, like building something to like keep people. You want to keep people safe, but in a sense, you're basically creating like a police state.
Right.
So Steve Rogers is talking against it, and Tony Stark's talking for it. He's like, "Isn't that our end game? We want to be able to stop all this stuff so that we can stop." And Steve Rogers says something to the effect right before he says it. He has a piece of wood and he rips it with his hands. And he says, "From my experience, when you try to stop a war, you kill more innocent people."
Ooh.
Something to that effect. But the only thing I thought was weird was him breaking that wood with his hands. And I didn't know if he, in comic book nerdiness, would have the ability to do that or not.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Steve Rogers was, in the comics, he wasn't as strong as, say, like Spider-Man, but he was fairly strong. I mean, he couldn't like Spider-Man in the comics. Spider-Man had about the equivalent. He had about the same strength as like he could lift. Spider-Man could lift like a Volkswagen Bug over his head. Okay. So Steve Rogers was like about like a step down from that.
Because the way it was always explained to me is Steve Rogers was basically the peak of every human physical ability. Like
yeah,
like
exactly.
Mile, he could run like the fastest mile humanly possible. He could lift the most weight humanly possible. Is like the peak.
Right. A perfect human basically.
But it seems like in the Marvel universe, in the movies, they've made him like a step above that.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, he's like a step, like just a degree above normal human ability in terms of like strength and endurance.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of wanting to ask you that because I know you're a little bit more comic book oriented with the more past stuff, so I was just curious about that.
Plus, we had the other comedic clip of everyone trying to pick up Thor's hammer.
Oh, was that not perfect, like Joss Whedon writing?
Oh, wasn't it?
I remember hearing about it, and like it played exactly how I thought it would play in my head. And my favorite part of that, because I'm a big Cap fan, he walks over and like they have the nice shot of the hammer, and like you can see Thor's face, and Steve Rogers gets down and picks it up and like moves just a little bit.
Yeah, you hear it kind of like start to pick up, and like the color, like Thor's expression just drops. He was like, "Wait a minute.
Wait a second."
Because actually, like, if nobody knows this, in the comics, Captain America was the only other person in the entire Marvel universe that was able to actually pick up Thor's hammer and use it.
Which makes sense. I mean, and that's something else in that clip with Tony Stark and Steve Rogers where he was talking. He's like, "I don't trust anybody that doesn't have a dark side." And really, it seems like in everything, Steve Rogers doesn't have a dark side. He's the goody two shoes.
Right. He's like, I would say he's kind of like Superman, but I mean, obviously not as strong and doesn't fly and stuff like that. But I mean, just kind of that same like ideal. Like that's like Captain America is the person that we should all aspire to be.
He's the soldier you see that you want to be like, that makes you proud to be an American kind of thing.
Right.
So and that brings you to Captain America: Civil War comes out May 6th, 2016. They have titled it Civil War, right? That's officially been released. Okay.
Yeah, they have titled it Civil War, which is apparently going to also have Robert Downey Jr. in it. Now here's the thing I'm wondering, okay? Robert Downey Jr. has re-signed a contract for who knows how many more. The way Marvel does it, it seems like the contract they sign is for so many appearances in films.
Something like that. Like it has to be, like they have to be considered in the film, because I know they split up Avengers 3 into 2.
Right.
And essentially with that one, if you're in the first one and the second one, that's 2 films. It's not one.
Right. Okay, so Robert Downey Jr. has signed on for more films. Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth, I don't think that they actually have yet.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Because I think I just read that Thor 3 will be is Chris Hemsworth's 5th film of his 6-film contract, so he'd only be able to be in one more.
Right.
With his current contract.
And I think it's also the same for Chris Evans. So he's got this he's got Avengers: Age of Ultron, he's got Cap 3, and I don't know what it looks like after that for him. But I gotta say, they're kind of tweaking things in the comics with like Thor. They kind of changed up Thor's character. Thor's now a girl. Getting back to Civil War in the comic storyline. Basically, the way Civil War worked in the comics was the U.S. government creates passes a bill called the Superhero Registration Act, saying that all superheroes need to register their identity with the U.S. government, and also act as kind of like a de facto police force should things go awry, almost like a backup National Guard, I guess, in a way.
Have to give up your secret identity and all this stuff.
Leading the charge for this proposal is Iron Man, and the person leading the charge against it is Captain America, and the two of them basically kind of lead the Marvel universe. Gets kind of split into factions, and actually open warfare kind of happens between heroes over Registration Act. I think what ends up happening at the end is they end up trashing the bill, but at the end of Civil War, Captain America, Steve Rogers, gets shot and killed. And so then Bucky in the comic takes up the mantle of Captain America. And so that's, but I think now they've brought Steve Rogers back somehow. I don't remember how.
Yeah, the comic I got into, it was Steve Rogers, and it was something about people didn't realize Bucky was still alive, or it was something weird.
Yeah, something like that. So what I'm curious of is are they going to, they've made Thor is also now a girl. They changed that, they've changed that up in the comics. Or they're going to change that. I don't know if they actually have yet.
I think it just did last month or the month before.
So some people are speculating that the reason they're doing this is to kind of alter this, kind of pave the way for changes in the cinematic universe, because actors might change hands.
That's kind of the feel I got, that it seems like they're trying to because by the time they need to get to that point, that's 6 years away. So you start filtering this stuff in now, and people get used to it, and the shock's already there. It's oh, Thor's a woman, or Captain America is now is it Hawkeye or the Falcon?
Yeah.
So you already got that ingrained in people, that they're okay, well that's how it is. And if you have a comic going out for 3 or 4 years, people get used to that, And so then it's like, well, it only makes sense for the Marvel Universe to do that in the movies because that's what they've done in the comics.
Right. And they have said that by the end of Age of Ultron that the lineup of the Avengers will change. Like there will be a different lineup for the Avengers.
Well, I thought I heard too that the guy who played Bucky signed on for like 9 movies.
Right. So I mean, who knows? Honestly, to me, I mean this is just my personal feeling, but fucking like, I mean, I'm not that personally attached to Thor. So I mean, if they want to change the character, I mean, I get it, you know. I mean, it's not ideal, but okay. But I mean, the Avengers needs Captain America.
Yeah, I agree. He's
like,
such a perfect fit for that show.
Like for the comics, for the movies, like he's the Avengers. Mm-hmm. I mean, the name of his first movie was Captain America: The First Avenger. Like he's the one that's always embodied that team. He's the leader of that team. That the Avengers needs Captain America.
Well, that's what's going to be interesting with that Civil War because I mean there are a lot of Iron Man fans now, and it seems like they're like Captain America: The Winter Soldier was probably one of my favorite movies in this Marvel, universe that they've done recently. So like they said, they're really putting a lot of emphasis on the Civil War story for that new movie. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, in this one, I mean, in the second one, I mean, spoilers for those that haven't seen the Winter Soldier, but the end of the Winter Soldier, I mean, he brought S.H.I.E.L.D. down. He brought S.H.I.E.L.D. down because, he felt like what S.H.I.E.L.D. was I mean, obviously, S.H.I.E.L.D. had its own thing going on, but just S.H.I.E.L.D. in general, like they weren't working in the best interest of what he felt was the American ideal.
I know with that movie, so the Civil War, like when I first heard they were doing that, like I was like, okay, that makes sense. So then Avengers 3 is going to be the tie-in to that. That's going to be the culmination of it. But from everything they've shown, it really feels like Civil War is going to be the end of this act. Because after that, you have Doctor Strange.
Oh, Doctor Strange!
Are you excited about that one?
I am so excited about Doctor Strange, and here's the reason why, and it's 2 words. No, it's 3. It's 3. Benedict fucking Cumberbatch. That is who we have cast as Doctor Strange.
Is he a famous actor or something?
All I can do is just stand up and just brava. Brava.
So, I don't know much about the Doctor Strange character. Is he a British character or is he what's his like?
He wasn't necessarily British in the comics. I mean, you kind of almost feel like he should be, but in the way Doctor Strange went was Doctor Strange was a very famous surgeon who got into a car accident and basically had nerve damage in his hands, so he couldn't do surgery anymore. So he was searching for all sorts of different ways to try and fix the pain in his hands. Spent all his money and, eventually like traveled to the middle of the Himalayan mountains where he meets an old wise man called the Ancient One.
Okay.
And the Ancient One teaches him that the world is caught in a spiritual warfare with the demons of this person called there's different kind of villains and stuff. You have Dormammu, which is kind of like a big bad evil guy. You have Mephisto, which is kind of Marvel's embodiment of the devil. But it kind of adds like a whole new layer to the entire Marvel universe. It adds this whole supernatural layer. And the man, his name's Stephen Strange or Stephen Strange, and he becomes like basically a wizard warrior for lack of a better word.
So does he have kind of like when you see like because Cumberbatch is
he's Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. I was want to say Doctor Who or something like that for some reason. I don't fucking know why.
Sherlock Holmes.
He was in Star Trek, and he kind of plays that like very hard to read character.
He's also the voice of Smaug.
Yeah. Is that the kind of like Doctor Strange, like that dark kind of
I think
brooding
that's
type character?
no. I mean, like in the comic, he had he had this big mansion in the middle of downtown, and it was very like uh oh. He had like like the big library, and it's hard to describe the kind of character. Like he was more like the man that knew, the one that sees all. He has this medallion called the Eye of Agamotto,
Okay.
and he has he casts, like, he has spells, and he casts all sorts, uses magic, and you know goes into trances, and travels the astral planes and stuff like that, and like that's the kind of character he is. He has an assistant named Wong.
Of course he does. So you think in this movie there's going to be kind of an origin story?
Oh yeah, this movie will definitely, you'll have him as a surgeon. You'll have him getting into a horrible accident. You'll have him searching to try and find a cure for the nerve damage in his hands or whatever. And then you'll have him in the middle of the mountains learning how to become the Wizard Supreme.
So tying all of this stuff into, because it all builds up to like the big Infinity Stones.
Right.
Do you think that his seeing eye is going to be one of the Infinity Stones?
Ooh, possibly. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't think so, but I guess it's possible. I mean, okay, let's see. Okay, so you have I'm trying to think what all the stones were. There's the time gem, the mind gem, the power gem, the space gem. Let's see. Time,
pulled it up real
power.
Quick. Yeah, space, mind, soul, reality, time, power.
Soul and reality. Those are two I forgot.
And let's see. They show.
So in the movies, I mean, we haven't really actually even named what the stones were in the movies so far. I would say that the Tesseract would be the space gem, because it creates doorways in space and allows people to, travel through distances in space. So you have that. The ether, which is in Thor: The Dark World, I would have to go with that being the I'm not sure.
Yeah, this doesn't really. There's the ether, the scepter, the tesseract. Those are the ones that they show. There's the orb.
The orb, that would be the power gem. I mean, I'm speculating here, but the orb from Guardians of the Galaxy, I would say, would be the power gem. The tesseract, I would say, would be the space gem. We haven't really seen one for time yet. Soul, no. Reality, maybe the ether would be reality.
Maybe. Yeah, you just mentioned something about him having that seeing eye, and I wonder if that's a way to kind of tie him into the full picture of the universe. Because was he a pretty big, outstanding member of the Avengers, or was he just kind of a
Actually,
tag
I
along?
don't think he was really affiliated with the Avengers that much, if at all. I mean, I think he teamed up with Spider-Man on a couple times. He was in the Secret Wars, which was like a kind of a older storyline. All these different heroes went to this planet, and okay, so yes, Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm excited because I think Cumberbatch is gonna bring a really interesting kind of darkness to Stephen Strange that is that we didn't realize we wanted until we got it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what he does.
And I'm excited.
So
okay,
Doctor Strange.
Yes,
okay,
you got Captain America: Civil War. We got Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
That's kind of thrown in right after Doctor Strange. So.
Right. So that one, I really don't know where they're going to take that one, because I think, to me, Guardians of the Galaxy so far has kind of touched on stuff we're kind of waiting to see what develops way later. I think Guardians of the Galaxy has kind of touched more on the Infinity Stones and everything else more than any movie so far.
But yeah,
I mean, you actually kind of learn what the Infinity Stones are in
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
And Thanos actually has a pretty big part in this one where you kind of actually see him. Not a huge part, but you actually see him.
Right.
You know who he is by name now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. If you look at the build-up to the Infinity War Avengers, you have Doctor Strange, Guardians, Thor, and then Black Panther. So it's essentially 2 new movies introducing new characters, a sequel with Guardians, and then Thor. From everything I've kind of heard, it seems like that's going to kind of be his his curtain call until the second Infinity War movie.
Right.
So like that stretch of movies will be really interesting how all that's going to tie in.
Yeah, there haven't been any plot details or anything about where they're going with any of these, but I would say Doctor Strange and Black Panther are probably going to be those origin story movies. You still have Ant-Man on the docket. Yep. Ant-Man's still floating around there somewhere. Also, I will say this, going back to Avengers: Age of Ultron, if the lineup is going to change for the Avengers, I'm wondering if this means that Joss Whedon gets to do his favorite thing he gets to do in movies.
I get the Joss Whedon.
If we're gonna get Whedoned on any character.
Well, he's bound to kill somebody off. That's just what he does. I don't think he could go through a full life of any project without killing some main character.
Right, So in this one I'm like, okay, who's going to die? That's what I'm waiting for. We get the introduction of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch,
which both look pretty good from the trailers. Scarlet Witch I think I'm going to fall in love with pretty quick.
Yeah, probably. In the comics, they were actually Magneto's kids.
Yep, which they can't say in this because of rights, and they can't say they're mutants, they're miracles.
Right, yes.
Although, since you brought up rights, it does seem that there's been a lot of rumbling about Spider-Man getting involved somewhere, specifically with the Civil War storyline.
Which kind of makes sense to me because one of the big coups in that Civil War storyline was Spider-Man revealing his identity to the public.
Okay. Yeah, because he's kind of stuck in the middle from what I've heard.
Yeah, he was kind of on the fence, and then eventually he signed it. He joined up with Iron Man, and in this big press conference, he revealed his identity as Peter Parker.
Which it could work. I know the new Amazing Spider-Man wasn't that great, and it sounds like there's been a lot of putting on hold, and they're not really sure what they're going to do with that Spider-Man franchise. So it might be a perfect situation for Marvel to say, "Hey, you guys don't know what you are going to do with this. Why don't we work something out and get him at least on the screen?"
Yeah, and I mean, I'd love to. I mean, if Marvel got a hold, Spider-Man, that's Marvel's golden boy, Yeah. And it's almost like this big tragedy that the studio that's doing so well with everything else, and they don't have their big claim to fame. That's what that's what they've yearned. That's their character, That was that's always been kind of like the Marvel poster boy is Spider-Man.
So yeah, you think about him, he's really the one missing out. Of all the other ones, like Fantastic Four, I don't really see much missing there. But the only big storyline I could think of is if they got a hold of the X-Men, having the Avengers versus the X-Men, because that always seems like that's huge, huge arcs in the different comics. And you could set up another phase just on that idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like the tangent that X-Men's going on with, they did First Class, and you had Days of Future Past, and we're gonna have Apocalypse coming up, and I kind of like what they're doing. I'm kind of fine with X-Men being over here and Marvel having their other thing over here.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to say. You don't really feel like you're missing much besides the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I know they got the Punisher back, so I think that would be cool to get him in there just because I'm a big Punisher fan.
Yes. Black Panther, that's kind of honestly, I think Black Panther is somebody that they're probably going to add into the Avengers. Because, I mean, like I said, they're saying the lineup's going to change, so now we got to figure out, okay, who's coming out and who's going in. I would say Ant-Man probably is going in.
Yeah.
Black Panther, I could see Black Panther going in.
Probably have Hawkeye will probably be taking a bigger role in that one. Because, I mean, that kind of seems what the setup might be is they build up to the first Infinity War, and it's kind of where, everybody's just kind of like, like Tony Stark and all of them are like, okay, here's the new recruits. You guys go ahead and protect the Earth. And that first one's just them going to be getting their ass kicked by Thanos.
Yeah.
And probably a bunch of red shirts getting killed.
Yeah.
And that's when you're going to see, okay, Avengers 2, okay, everybody's back from the original and they're going to take care of business.
Yeah.
And from my understanding in that storyline, because they're basing it off of a big Thanos storyline, is he essentially did kill just about everybody, and it took like the whole Marvel good guy universe to destroy him.
In the Infinity Gauntlet series, which was which came out in early 90s, when Thanos collected all of the Infinity Stones and had all of the Infinity Stones in his possession, and he had them on his hand. That's why it's called the Infinity Gauntlet. He had all these stones on his hand, and the first thing he did is he snaps his fingers, and half the universe dies.
Oh man!
So in the comic, like half the superheroes that you've come to know and love are just gone. So then all the remaining superheroes get together to go attack Thanos, who basically has, they give him basically what they call he's God.
Yeah.
Like he has the power of God. Not a God, God. The God.
And from my understanding, the only reason they beat him is because he took the glove off. Spoilers, but I'm not sure who's going to read the comic since it's 20 years old. We're spoiling a potential Avengers 2, Infinity War 2 storyline.
In the comic, the person who gets a hold of it is Adam Warlock.
Okay.
Adam Warlock is I would honestly, that's kind of why I'm curious. I want to see kind of what they're going to do with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because Adam Warlock, the comic, he was hibernating in a cocoon, Adam Warlock, and we actually see the cocoon in Guardians of the Galaxy. In the first one, you see the cocoon when they are in the collector's
okay.
Yeah, his little habitat or whatever, his collection, I guess. In a glass case, you see this big, giant, green-looking thing. Looks like a big rock or who knows. But it's kind of green or whatever. That is like almost a picture perfect of what Adam Warlock's cocoon looked like in the comic book.
So is the explosion basically what's going to get him to be free?
Possibly. I don't know. I mean, Adam Warlock was awesome in the comic. Like, he was kind of the only person. He was kind of like Thanos' mortal enemy, in the comics before he got the gauntlet. And then like I said, he ends up getting a hold of the Infinity Stones, after Thanos is defeated, and he separates the stones and he gives each stone to one person. And then there was a whole, series called Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch, which, Adam Warlock had the Soul Gem, and then all these other people had each of the other gems. There was Moondragon and, a bunch of and like I said, that's why I'm kind of curious to see about Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because if they bring out Adam Warlock, I'm gonna be like, here we go, Thanos.
Watch your ass, Thanos. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like you talked about a lot of these comics that were written in the 90s and everything, and it's cool that they feel comfortable enough to grab from those since they're fairly recent and actually use them. Like the Civil War storyline, that's from like 2000 to 2004.
Yes.
Right? That's fairly recent.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool that they're able to say, "Hey, these are great storylines. Who cares if they're really new? Let's use them."
Yeah, we can weave it all in. We can have our cake and eat it too.
So the other one that's kind of Captain Marvel and the Inhumans
Captain
are
Marvel,
two that are
which apparently they are also making a girl, from what I understand.
okay. Was it a man and a girl, or just
It was a man in the comics. I don't know if it was always that way, but from what I remember, it was a man.
okay?
The Inhumans, I didn't read much on the Inhumans. It was kind of honestly they were kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy to me. It was kind of like a B team. It was led by this hero named Black Bolt, who was really prominent in the World War Hulk and Planet Hulk kind of storyline. Like in World War Hulk, Hulk and Black Bolt went toe to toe, and that was a pretty epic fight.
I guess is that what they're setting up for the phases after Avengers Infinity War 2?
Possibly. That's the only thing I could think. It's kind of an oddball thing to throw in there is this complete other team, the Inhumans. But I don't know. We'll see how it works.
Well, shit, I didn't really realize this, but so the Avengers Infinity War 1 comes out May 4th of 2018. You only have to wait a year for the second Avengers Infinity War 2.
Right. So that means they're filming those back to back.
Yeah. So you're going to have May Infinity War 1, July Captain Marvel, November Inhumans 2, and then right away May 3rd of 19 you're going to have Avengers Infinity War 2.
Right. And I think that culminates, that basically finishes off their phase 3.
And kick them right into phase 4, which will probably already have, 10 movies shown for us by then.
I'm sure. Phase 4 is probably, I'm going to guess they're probably going to hit up like Planet Hulk and World War Hulk and, you'll throw, I mean, who the fuck knows what the hell they're going to throw in there.
So what year did the original Iron Man come out?
2006?
2008. So we're coming up on 11 years when Avengers Infinity War 2 finishes. So you're looking at pretty close to 15 to 20 years of this whole run of Marvel movies.
Well, not only that, think about this, like Robert Downey Jr. playing the same character for
15 years.
11 years. Yeah, for 15 years or better.
That's crazy.
I think this also brings up another point. Okay, Robert Downey Jr. just recently came out with a newer movie called The Judge. I don't remember who else is in it. I want to say Robert Duvall's in it.
Yeah, I think so. I think he plays his dad. The redneck from Sling Blade. What's his name? Billy Bob Thornton. I think he's in it.
Yes. It didn't do that well. So it kind of begs the question, like, can a movie rest on the laurels of one star alone?
I don't think so anymore. And I really feel like that movie was one of those that, as I've heard him say something to the effect of, he's not worried about not having an Academy Award yet. He'll get it at some point. And so I wonder if that was kind of his attempt at, okay, here's a artsy movie to get my Academy Award.
Right.
But I mean, like, there's a lot of big names in that, and I didn't really want to go see it because it didn't seem interesting.
Right. And so, I mean, there was an article, I want to say it was in Money Magazine or Fortune, saying that movies in this day and age, you don't have like these superstars anymore. You don't have these mega $1 million movie stars that can, basically carry a movie to some sort of box office, success simply because it has star power.
Well, the last one I can think of that was that way was Will Smith, and he had his last like 2 movies haven't done very well, like After Earth.
Honestly, I would say the only person I can think of that can do that that has that kind of star quality that can kind of take a movie, I would go with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Even then, I don't know. I mean, he did Shutter Island. I don't think it did that great.
Yeah, he just came out with Wolf on Wall Street though, and I mean that wasn't terrible,
Yeah, but
and that did fairly well.
what was the other movie he was in? The Great Gatsby. I don't know how well that one did.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. The Departed.
Yeah, but he wasn't really the main bill on that movie.
That's true. You had Jack Nicholson and stuff like that.
But I mean, I'm just kind of agreeing with your point. Like, I don't know if you put him in any movie if that automatically bumps it up to, $100 million movie. It might help it.
Right.
Like, it may go from a 10 million movie to a 20 million movie, but the cost of having Leonardo DiCaprio in your movie probably just kind of makes that a null point.
So anymore, they're saying that the way actors, if you want to be an actor and make like that big bank, that big fucking paycheck, if you're looking for that payday, you have to sign on with a franchise. You have to sign on for a multi-movie kind of deal like Marvel or DC, which we haven't gotten to yet, but we'll get there. But like Marvel or DC or even like, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or
Hunger
you have
Games,
to
yeah.
sign on. Yeah, Hunger Games. You have to sign on for these for this movie marathon
What
and have, these multiple appearances on film in order to get that big payday.
What's interesting about that too is you look at some of those guys that sign on to those. Once those franchise in, you really don't hear much else about them. I mean, you see them pop up in a movie every now and then, but it's never like that $200 million movie. It's like Christian Bale. He's going to be in some new. I think it's Kings and Gods or Gods and Kings.
Oh yeah.
Looks like a good movie, but I don't think they put him in there just because it's Christian Bale.
Yeah, and I mean, and to me, when I saw this article, to me it kind of reminded me of like the old studio system of the of the 40s, or what they called like the golden age of Hollywood, where you had the studio system. I mean, actors went to Hollywood and they didn't sign on to do this movie here and this movie here. They signed on with a studio.
Yeah.
They signed a contract with a studio, and then that studio had this movie star and this movie star and this movie star under contract. So they appeared in so many movies based on what the studio was making.
Yeah, and then they like prorate, so like you make this much on this movie, this much on this movie, and it slowly grows.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and it's kind of the same thing now. I mean, I'm sure like, you have like Benedict Cumberbatch is probably signed on. Yeah, I mean, Doctor Strange is not the only movie we're going to see Doctor Strange in.
Yeah. And big things like this, they have to do that.
Right. Right. And so, in the old days, you had like Clark Gable and Humphrey Bogart and stuff like that, and they signed on with a studio, and they did, they appeared in so many movies. I mean, if you look at like the old Bing Crosby, Bob Hope movies or stuff like that, like they were all made by the same studio because that was the system.
Yeah, I'd be kind of curious when you see like if the guy who plays Captain America, Steve or Chris Evans, when this is done, like what does he do next? Because he was in Fantastic Four, was one of his first kind of big things, and now this, you kind of get stuck with that kind of character that it's hard to see him as somebody from a different movie, kind of like the Titanic effect. It's like it was really hard to see Leonardo DiCaprio in a different movie. Now it's an afterthought.
But I mean, to a point. I mean, I don't know. Like, if I was to a point, like, I wonder if they really care, because they're like, I made $300 million.
Oh yeah, I mean, they have generational money, and all the money they're going to get from residuals. I mean, they're set for their great grandchildren's life,
right?
Unless they spend it all on blowing hookers, but even then, it'd take a lot of blowing hookers.
Oh my God, so many so many hookers.
Listen, I got like 17 more titties to do this off of before the end of the day. I'm just booked solid.
But I mean, honestly, like, and kind of put it on par with. I mean, take someone like Viggo Mortensen. He did the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy. He played Aragorn. Probably made a ton of money, I mean, what was the last movie you saw him in?
I don't know if I can picture who that character is.
The guy that was Aragorn? Viggo Mortensen?
You're talking to the guy who tried to watch Lord of the Rings twice and realized he only missed 10 minutes of it.
Oh, God, you bastard.
I tried to look him up, and I got Beagle Morrison. And I just got a bunch of beagles.
Viggo Mortensen. Okay, so after Lord of the Rings, the only movie I can think of that he was in this kind of like lower budget kind of, drama called A History of Violence. That's the only other movie I can think of he was in. Which was kind of, it was kind of a cool movie. It was okay. So to me the question is, I don't know if it's like if I'm Marvel, and I wish I was, but if I'm Marvel, I would want to sign Chris Evans on for at least another 3-4 movies.
I mean, I feel like they really just have to. I mean, their starting contract really has to probably be about 4 movies, and it's essentially probably they have buyouts. It's like, okay, if you don't show up into, 2 of these movies, we'll give you X amount of money.
Right, and I'm sure, like, Chris Evans is like, hey, let's fucking pony it up here, But I mean, why does it just do it? Just do it. Just give him what he wants. Why not? I mean, it's fucking.
And then just double it.
Yeah, just get at what number? 500 million. Fine, whatever. It's fine.
First $1 billion contract ever. So went on a rant by a company that's doing this really well, Marvel. But somebody else. So it's kind of interesting. So this other company, DC, comes out and says, "Hey, we're gonna beat Marvel to the punch. Here's our lineup for the next 6 years."
Right.
What was it like 2 days later? Marvel rolls their out and is like, "Oh, that's cute. Here's all of our movies."
Yeah, exactly. Earlier in October, first it was DC, and they're like, "Okay, here's what we're doing. We got all these movies come out. We're planned all the way to 2020. Check us out." Okay, so the first one, obviously, we have Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Okay, so what they're calling basically the start of the Justice League. This is apparently also going to feature cameos from Wonder Woman and Aquaman, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe he's in there too. Yeah.
So Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, when it comes to this, I mean,
I have a strong feeling that it may go okay. We may all be going to Justice League 2 in 2019 and being like, good movies. I'm glad they did it. I have a strong feeling that it may go the route of Sony and Sinister Six, that we see all this stuff and we get pumped up for it, and then come about 2016, DC is completely rebooting everything.
Yeah.
You'll see Suicide Squad come out, which is the second movie in this, which seems kind of odd, and not do like Guardians of the Galaxy numbers. It may lose money, I don't know, but I feel like you're gonna see in 3 years that they're rebooting this Batman and Superman and all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible. I mean, I have hope. I'm not, fucking saying oh, fuck you, DC. Like I'm not beating it like a redhead stepchild here. I mean, Batman. I mean, I'm cool to see another interpretation of Batman.
Yeah, I'm a huge Batman fan.
I'm in love with Batman. So yeah, let's see what Zack Snyder can do with it. Why the fuck not? Batman, Superman, maybe we'll see Batman in a big armored suit fighting off Superman like he did in the comic. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. That'd be great. So you have Batman and Superman: Dawn of Justice. So with this, like I said, appearances also by Wonder Woman and Aquaman. I think they've cast Drago, Khal Drago as Aquaman from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, I mean, cool. I'm down.
Makes Aquaman seem pretty badass, actually.
Right? Because, I mean, he played Conan, and I liked it. I liked him as Conan. I thought he was cool.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but I know you said it was pretty awesome.
It was a movie that they could have done so much more, but they didn't. And it wasn't that what they had was bad. It was just you could have done so much more. Like I just felt like they just didn't do enough.
What's really nerve wracking about this DC thing though is I've heard a lot of like the funnelings of how this movie's going to be. So essentially, everything or what I've heard from it is that it takes place like just right after Man of Steel. So Bruce Wayne is in Metropolis when all this is happening.
Okay.
And he's rushing to get to his bat suit to help, and like he's been around for a long time.
Okay.
And like you go down these roads, like how awesome would it be like, Nightwing is actually Nightwing at this point. Maybe there is a brand new Robin, or you see the brand new Robin.
Yeah.
So they kind of go off all these stories that but I mean it's Suicide Squad and then Wonder Woman. I mean, I'm excited for Wonder Woman, but Suicide Squad's it's just
I can't speak, good or ill of Suicide Squad because I'm not really that familiar with it. I mean, I will say I'm somewhat a little biased, mainly because I was kind of a Marvel fanboy when I was younger and read comics. I read DC comics here and there, but I would say I was more partial to Marvel at the time. So I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just in the interest of fairness. I guess I was just putting that bias out there.
yeah. And to me, like I think I've always been more DC oriented because the Batman came out in '89, '90s, so that's kind of like my first introduction to superheroes.
Right.
Although it seems like Marvel's the reason I got into comics because of after Avengers, that was my indication to say, hey, you probably should check out comics. But even then, the only Marvel one I really read is Punisher and Hawkeye.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like looking at the Marvel lineup, like really the only things I could see them kind of faltering on is maybe, and that's just because like they're fairly new and there's a chance that people may not be into it. I would say Captain Marvel and probably the Inhumans.
And that's so tight together though. Those are two movies.
But I said the same thing. I said the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, who the fuck cares about about Guardians of the Galaxy? But you know what? I care. I care now.
Oh yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I'm there.
Like that's the thing with Marvel, and the reason that I just that I mean they've built up. There's full faith and credit.
Oh yeah, but I mean, look at this line. So let's play this out. So you have Ant-Man, is I think the next one that's coming out.
Right.
Is that's after Avengers 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have Avengers 2. Everybody's gonna love. You have Ant-Man. What if Ant-Man sucks? You're looking at like a month, and Captain America: Civil War comes out, so you're back on the train. Doctor Strange, I'm sure that's gonna be fine with Cumberbatch in there. But even if, let's say, that's rough, you're looking at 6 months and you have a new Guardians, which will be amazing. Then you have Thor, which will be fine.
Well,
okay?
It's not even just that. It's the fact that, to me, Marvel takes care in making sure that the movies that they're making are good. Like, to me, with DC, it seems like they're too busy focusing on trying to build up this credible universe and stuff like that. Like, just make a fucking good movie.
But yeah, but that's
like,
my
don't
point.
worry about all this other bullshit. Just make a good fucking movie, and it takes care of itself.
Yeah, but I mean that's my point. Even if Marvel doesn't make a good movie, right away you're going to have one that will. So Black Panther, if it's rough, you have Avengers coming right after.
Yeah.
You say Captain Marvel and Humans. Let's say both of those aren't that great. Right away you have another Avengers movie. But you look at DC, you have Batman vs. Superman. Let's say that movie is amazing and you absolutely love it. You have 3 years until the Justice League movie comes out. I'm sorry, no, I guess it's just a year and a half, and you have the new Justice League movie come out. But they're hoping you buy into the Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, and then after that they say, okay, now buy into Flash, Aquaman, and Shazam before our next movie comes out that's going to have all these characters that you know.
Right.
There's just so much risk and gambling involved into that if Suicide Squad movie sucks and let's say Flash or Aquaman sucks, like you're going to lose people because they're going to say, hey, these movies aren't that great.
Right. And also, like, to me, like, I mean, some of these just don't, like, I don't see how does the Suicide Squad tie into the Justice League? And I mean, how do the Inhumans tie into tying to the Avengers. I'll give you that. But it's
there's
like I said, like there's a faith there. Like I believe that Marvel takes care of what they're doing. They take care and pride in what they're doing. They're worried about making a good movie and not so much about making sure that it makes money.
But with Marvel too, they've already built this huge universe that you're bought in.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking sold. I'm sold. I'm in for the long haul. And that's the thing is like they've taken the time. I mean, because I mean when you like let's rewind the clock. 8 years back. I mean, you had Iron Man, and Iron Man was a good movie.
Oh yeah,
and
I didn't know who Iron Man was, and we went and saw it. And I was like, this is a good movie.
Yeah, Iron Man was a good movie, and that okay, and we went from there to Thor. Thor was a good movie.
But they set it up with the after scene credits too, because we're sitting there. You're like, "Hey, we gotta stay because there's an after scene credit."
Yeah.
And it's Nick Fury, and he's like, "I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative," and you freaked out, and I'm like, "What's the Avengers Initiative?" Oh. But it just slowly built that up.
Yeah, I mean, just do it. Take your time, and do it slow. Like take your time and worry about what you're doing and making sure it's a good product.
But the problem is DC's late to the party, so it's like we gotta put all this in front of you right away.
Exactly. Since they're late to the party, they feel like they have to catch up. And I'm saying, like, you don't have to catch up. Although I will say Marvel kind of sticks it to them when they can. Because, which one is it? I think Batman vs. Superman. As far as I know, I think they announced once Warner Brothers was like, hey, Dawn of Justice, we're coming out in 2016. And then Marvel came along and like, yeah, on the same day we're gonna release Captain America 3.
They had
if that's okay, if that's all right with you guys. I mean,
I think Warner Brothers end up moving that, but I wish they would have kept that. Like, could you imagine?
Oh my god.
Bring back the comic book wars just with that.
Oh, I know. That'd be awesome. But yeah, Marvel gets its, like I said, when Marvel gets the opportunity to kind of stick it to them, they do, and it's cute and it's funny. I laugh at it.
Yeah, it's just like they're just so.
But I don't think they need. I don't think they need to. I don't think it needs to be like this. That we have to play catch up. Like, no, you don't have to play catch up. Like, just build your good property, and then you can have a good property too.
Yeah, they could slowly. I want to say that the Man of Steel was part of a plan, but and I don't know who's running the whole DC thing, and maybe that's the problem because Marvel seems to have a smaller knit group of people who are running it.
Yeah, when you say Marvel, everybody says Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige, that's the guy. That's the mastermind, the guy that's orchestrating this whole thing.
And the problem is when you think DC, you think Warner Brothers, so there's just a lot of hands in the cookie jar. That
right.
Well, maybe we should do it this way. Maybe we should do it this way. Well, let's combine the two and do it this way.
Right.
But and that's what sucks is because the best case scenario is that just because of how much Marvel spoiled everybody, but the best case scenario for DC is they make a movie just as good as what Marvel's done. I don't see them being able to outdo Marvel.
Well, who knows?
Maybe
we'll
they
see.
could, but
I would love to see them try. I would love to see them try. And I'm not saying that as a dick. I'm saying that as like,
well, it's trying
please
to stop
do it.
a moving freight train. Marvel's going at 80 miles an hour with all this cash in the back of their caboose. Trying to step in front of that or trying to outrun that. It's just it's a challenge.
Right. Okay, so we've got Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. We get the Suicide Squad, which I don't know that much about. Wonder Woman, which ironically, Joss Whedon was originally supposed to do. This was back in 2004, 2005. I think he wrote a Wonder Woman script, and then it got shelved. The project kind of fell apart, and they were like, I think it was when Superman Returns came out.
Okay.
And it didn't do. It did okay, but it didn't do stellar.
I mean, that
And
was
so
like a
the
$200 million movie.
oh my god, it was so much money, and it didn't, it didn't make like a big giant, fucking boatload of cash, and so the studio got kind of scared and they started shelving their projects, and Wonder Woman was one of those projects. And so they were like, "Oh, Joss, no, we don't need you to make a comic book movie." What kind of comic book movie would you make anyway?
I love the quote. I think it was after Avengers came out, but somebody asked him, it's like, so what would you tell Warner Brothers and DC about, trying to do a Justice League movie? Or like, what advice would you give him? And he's like, call me.
Oh.
Yeah, so, Justice League, then you got
So
Flash,
Justice-
Aquaman, Shazam.
Yeah. Aquaman, so the Flash. Now, we have the Flash on TV, which I have not seen.
I saw the first episode and it was pretty decent.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is I don't think they're going to like build into that universe at all. Like, that's its own universe. And the guy who plays Arrow and the guy who plays the Flash, like, if you could tie those guys into this somehow, because that's 3 years away.
I totally agree. It seems, this is the thing that pisses me off so much about Marvel or about DC, is the fact that DC has way more creative control over their characters and their universe.
And
so why not? It's so much easier for DC to tie everything together. So just do it. Why can't you just do it? Why can't Arrow and the Flash and Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman all live in the same fucking place?
I think it probably comes down to the fact that it's just like, if you have too much money for a movie, like, just because you have so much so much money for a movie, it doesn't make it better. Because less resources allow for more creativity. Because if you think like Marvel, if they had all their properties, you probably wouldn't see Guardians, you wouldn't see Inhumans.
No, that's true. You wouldn't. You wouldn't see
missed
Guardians, or you
would
wouldn't
have missed out on those two great. Well, I don't know about Inhumans, but you would have missed out on Guardians, which was one of my favorite movies probably of all time.
Yeah.
But with DC, they have all these properties that are really popular. It's like, well, how are we going to do this? There's just too much stuff that they can't focus on what they need to do.
Exactly. Shazam, which they've cast The Rock as Shazam.
That's the other thing I find so interesting about this. Besides the Ben Affleck, I think Ben Affleck's going to be a good Batman. I think he's going to do fine.
I do too. Like, I think, because Affleck is someone that is actually familiar with, like, Christian Bale didn't know shit about fucking Batman. When he didn't read the comics. I mean, Ben Affleck is someone that has actually knows Batman, that actually has an idea of, what, he read the comics. He was a fan.
Yeah, I'm going to go on record saying Christian Bale wasn't a Batman series. That was a detective that wore a outfit.
Justice League Part 2, Cyborg, which, Cyborg is a cool character. I like Cyborg. In the animated, which one? Justice League Doom. He was in there. He played a pretty big role. I thought it was cool. Green Lantern. I'm curious. I want to see a good Green Lantern. I am looking for some Green Lantern. I would say that in the DC universe, I have a hard on for Batman, but second to that, I would go with Green Lantern. Green Lantern to me is a cool superhero, and I want to see a good Green Lantern movie.
What's interesting about the lineup too is it ends with Green Lantern, whereas with Marvel it ends with Avengers.
Right? Yeah. Why is Green Lantern after Justice League?
And I didn't see any on the research I looked at, but I thought there was supposed to be another standalone Superman and standalone Batman.
Oh, there might be. I don't know.
Okay. On the one I saw, I didn't see that, so I was
curious. I haven't seen that either.
Because that's going to be the other thing. If they don't have a standalone Superman or Batman for 4 years, they're missing something.
Oh, one other thing I didn't mention about Marvel on Black Panther. I haven't seen the movie 42. Have you seen 42, the movie about Jackie Robinson?
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it, but I know the guy in it.
Okay, that is who is playing Black Panther.
Okay. Black Panther, the image I saw, I think it's just the art for it. It looks pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah.
The Black Panther outfit. I don't know much about the character or anything, but
he's the prince of a country in Africa, but He Prince by day, and then at night he puts on this outfit and beats the shit out of people.
That doesn't sound familiar.
He's kind of like, I would say he's kind of like an acrobatic Captain America in a way. Like obviously not as strong, but
or a famous guy from Gotham is Bruce Wayne by day and a Batman by night.
Well, I would probably put him more on level with, say, like Daredevil. I would say he's more like Daredevil, but not blind.
Does he have any superpowers?
And black? No.
Okay.
But he's not blind, and he's black. So he's got that going for him.
Well, I'm colorblind, so I don't care what he is.
Well, he's not. He's not blind or colorblind or any of these things, but he's like Daredevil because he flips around and hits people.
Yeah, because in the new Avengers, there's some piece of it that's supposed to take place in Africa, right?
Possibly, I don't know.
Okay.
They did a lot of filming in Korea
For
for Age of Ultron. They did a lot of filming in South Korea, so I'm curious to see. I don't know if they went to South Korea for some specific if it's specific to the story or if it was just cost effective. Who knows? But they did a lot of filming they did like 2 weeks in South Korea, like in the city.
Gotcha. That has to be based in that then, because that seems like that's a pretty distinct city.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
So, I mean, we got huge nerd boners right now. I know my movie slate's packed for the next 10 years, it seems like.
Exactly.
It's kind of like you count this. Okay, so there's almost 20 movies at $10 a pop. It's $200 that Marvel and DC are gonna be getting out of me.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, that's the thing is, at the end of the day, like we'll bitch about these. We'll go to every single fucking one of them.
If they're gonna make it, I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, exactly. Because the second I stop going, then they're gonna stop making them.
Yeah.
I have to go. I have to go so I can. I'll go and suffer through the bad ones so I can wait for good ones. So they can make more, and then they make me a good one.
Essentially, it's like supporting the opening band. If you're not supporting them, then the big band can't be there.
Exactly. Exactly.
The Iron Mandians, if you will. That was my attempt at an Iron Maiden joke.
Oh.
It didn't work.
No.
That'll get edited out.
Yeah, well.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to add to this Marvel and DC movie extravaganza?
Benedict fucking Cumberbatch. I let out a little giddy like yee when I saw it. Like that's me.
Have you stopped yet?
Not inside. I've stopped doing it out loud.
You just do it in the shower now?
Yeah. Well,
turn on the vent and...
for other reasons.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll do a little housekeeping. So if you want to reach us on Twitter, we're at Language of Bro. You can shoot us email at languageofbromance@gmail.com. Website is languageofbromance.com. Like us on Facebook. Leave us a comment and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher.
Yeah, because and what there's also another place you can find us. It's a network.
It's a network. It's the Pod Bros Network.
Pod Bros Network.
So check us out there and check out all the other awesome podcasts.
We should email them and see if we can. Let's do your jingle. We're gonna make you a jingle.
we got this down. Have you listened to our show?
we totally have a jingle for you guys, and they're gonna be like, "What?"
Rich, they're not returning my calls.
Why are we not on there anymore?
And also, there's always the pod nods at soundslikeanearful.com/community/nods. Any podcast you listen to, if you want to give them a shout out, that's a good place to give it to them. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if there's nothing else, that's all the bromance we have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And I say we eat the beaver.
Yeah. And
fucking Cumberbatch.
Fucking Cumberbatch. There we go.